Welcome to the Cameo Show. I am joined by my husband and resident part-time co-host, Greg Braun. Hi, Greg.
Hi. I've got a joke today.
Oh boy. Okay.
I've got a dad joke for us.
Even better.
Where do fruits go for vacation? Paris.
Paris? Like pears?
Paris.
Okay. I get it. But thank you, Greg. Thank
Mhm.
you. We're feeling froggy today, and we are going to talk about some recent relevant things that are happening in each of our lives as it pertains to failure or rejection. Woo, fun
Yeah.
topic. But you know
Yeah.
what's so interesting about that? And the reason that we're talking about this is because it isn't very often that people talk about when things don't go right, right?
Yeah.
We talk about try things and don't be afraid to shoot your shot and pivot and do it again. And if it didn't work, try something new. I believe all of that.
Yeah.
But what you typically see is only when it goes right. People don't talk about it when it doesn't. And so we're going to talk about a couple of things that haven't really gone right in the last couple of weeks for us. And they're really meaningful things to each of us. So they're kind of difficult to accept and process, but they're also things that we have to accept and process.
Yeah.
And it is reality and it is real and it is something that people experience. And so instead of trying to act like it doesn't exist by just not talking about it, that's never been and not what this is about. We're going to talk about it. So, shall I start or would you like to start?
Go ahead.
So, some of you may know, and many of you may not, that I have given some speeches in my life. I have presented in different atmospheres, and that's something that's on my personal vision board. It's something that I aspire to do is be more involved in the public speaking sector of the world. And so, like with anything, you practice, you learn, you research, you put together a plan to start diving into that endeavor. And so, at the beginning of this year, I put on my vision board, literally, that I wanted to be, at some point, a TEDx speaker. As part of the planning around that, I started researching how do you become a TEDx speaker? How do you apply? Where are there open calls for speakers in different TEDx events that are put on in different cities? And I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do and how it works. So I was really excited when I found out that there was one in my own backyard here where we live in our community. And I was on track with regard to the deadline to apply. And they announced the theme, which was writing your future. And I'm like, cool. I'm like writing a book that's basically like right in alignment with that theme. This is going to be great. I'm going for it. And so I submitted my application, which was all of my information and, what's my topic about, and a 2 or 3 minute video of me talking kind of like in this setting about what my topic was about, my big idea, my TEDx idea. And it seemed like it was in alignment with the theme, except there was like a little extra piece to the theme. And it was kind of as it pertained to like diversity in your community, growing as a community. And so I was really trying to take my topic and mold it to fit into that as well, because it's a pretty pliable topic. My manuscript that I'm working on called The Reset Button is all about taking charge of your life and taking a really honest approach at your priorities and owning the decisions that you make to write your future. I'm like, sweet. A month later, I got an email that said, hey, we loved your topic. We'd like to have you come in for an interview. There were 200 submissions. We're interviewing 45 of you. And I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. And I'm like super pumped. And I didn't really talk about it because it's scary to talk about during the process to like share with anyone, because what if it doesn't happen? So I kept quiet and I went to the interview and it went well. I mean, I chat with people in person all the time with what we do for a living and what I've done for my career my entire life. I'm very comfortable in that setting. I feel like I nailed the questions. And they were like, well, we'll let you know in a few weeks. We're going to choose 15 people. And I'm like, okay, wow. And I've waited and I've waited and I've waited. And then one night last week, I got the email that said, hey, we're sorry, but we did not select you to be one of the speakers. And like, here's the thing. I'm bummed because I really wanted it. It's on my vision board. It's something I want to do. I spent some time and energy researching it. I've dedicated myself to learning and practicing and committing to this idea that this is something that I want to pursue. So it's kind of like, oh shit, that sucks. That doesn't feel good that it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to.
Mhm.
And I could just not talk about it. No one would even know, right? It'd just be me and you, and we'd know, and that'd be that. But I'm talking about it because it's reality. And so for like a day, I was like kind of bumming, reassessing what's my plan and who do I think I am, and feeling all of this imposter syndrome. And oh God, maybe I can't do this. And all of those things that we allow ourselves to feel when we are feeling rejected or feeling like a failure.
It was like an alien took over your body, and it was like you were not this confident, uh, purpose-filled, driven person. You were like questioning everything, and I'm like, what is happening? What
Yeah.
is going on here?
It was the initial sting, kind of like the initial grieving process of this idea that I was really feeling in my body. I was really feeling momentum and encouraged by it, and like really excited about the trajectory and like the potential. I'm like a
Yeah.
potential junkie. So this idea that this could actually happen, it's such a high for me, you know?
Mm.
And then it didn't. And so then I like was quickly knocked off my horse, right? But then the dust settled. And the reality is that one, it's life. Like you're not going to get everything that you try to do every single time, but you have to keep shooting shots. You have to keep showing up. I have to go back to the drawing board and really look at what happened. Where did it not go right? What went well? What didn't? And reassess and come up with a new plan and a new honest approach to what I want to pursue and how I want to pursue it. And the number one thing that I discovered in this situation is that even though I wanted it so bad, I couldn't make it fit the theme properly. My idea is still great. They weren't necessarily rejecting my idea. In fact, they loved my idea. That's why they called me in to talk further about it. But my idea didn't fit specifically the theme closely enough, or as well as some other ideas, for it to be chosen. And so
Yeah.
I have to take a step back and like kind of remove myself from it and say, okay, it's not necessarily about you. It's not you being rejected. It's not your idea being rejected. You're not a failure. It's not the end of your quest to be a public speaker. It's just, it wasn't right. It wasn't in alignment. And maybe the result of that, if it was forced or something that you did end up moving forward and, wouldn't have been so great because it wasn't really right from the get-go.
I would just like to add to that that just keeping in mind that they weren't saying no to you as the person, just just no to the idea it wasn't a good fit, and not to take that personal, you know.
Right. It was a moment for me to have just an honest conversation with myself and give myself a little bit of grace. It was also an opportunity for me to kind of celebrate that I went for something that means something to me. I did it on my own. I did it with my own, I mean, with your support, of course, but I did it with my own enthusiasm and with my own research and with my own confidence and with my own concept. And it wasn't something that anyone handed me. It wasn't anything that anyone said, here, you'd be great at this. It was a decision that I made to pursue something that was big. It was bigger than me. It
Yep.
was a big, scary goal that I may not succeed at. And I went for it anyway. I was brave enough to try. This opportunity now to kind of reframe and refocus and get really granular with the topic and the goal and find ways that it fits in and pursue other opportunities with other people and other organizations and other endeavors. It actually adds a little bit of fuel if I allow myself to see it as a positive, because they did like my topic. They did call me in for an interview. Like they wanted to learn more. That means there's something there. If I'm paying attention, I just have to make sure that whatever I'm trying to align myself with is a proper fit.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. But in what we say all the time, you either win or you learn. I learned
Yeah.
a hell of a lot. I didn't win. I'm not going to be speaking at TEDx this fall, which is a super big bummer, but I learned so much that I can chalk it up as a W after I kind of go through the process of like the disappointment. The important thing is that I didn't let that disappointment kind of consume me and last for a really long time, which may have been something that I would have done in the past or have done in the past when I really identified with something. Bodybuilding, as an example, when I didn't do well my very first show, I was absolutely devastated, stomp
Yeah.
my feet, throw a fit,
Yeah.
upset. And so that's an opportunity to recognize personal growth too and development and that acceptance and my ability to get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
And really live that, not just talk about it, but really live it.
That's what I love about this, because we do talk about that stuff a lot. We do talk about shoot your shot and go for it and try, but we do live it. I mean, we do live it. We keep each other accountable. I mean, like, you had a day where you were just kind of in your all up in your head, but after that you bounced back, because that's what this is all about. No matter what we're talking about, is shooting your shot and being okay with failure. And I think, talking about school and everything, it's like we've always been conditioned to get the damn answer right. You got to
Yeah.
get the answer right. You don't get to get it wrong. That's bad. And it's like, but that's not really how this works. Is you try for the TEDx, you fail at that because you didn't have the right concept or topic, but then you're motivated and you try for these other three and you're going to get one of those because it's going to be right in alignment. Or you try out for this band, but it's a jazz band and you're a rock drummer. Don't give up. Just go find a rock band. Like just pivoting
Yeah.
out of the failure, learning from it. And so it's real time and it's really happening.
And
Um,
it's vulnerable to talk about. Like I said,
yeah,
I could just not talk about it because then no one
yeah,
would even know. And I don't have to expose myself and my failure here. But
yeah,
that is not why we do this. And it never has been. The whole point of this podcast and these conversations is to be brave enough when things don't go exactly as planned and really hone in on, well, then what?
yeah,
The only
yeah,
thing I could have done wrong in that situation is throw in the towel.
yeah. Well, you also, a few years back, tried out for a national anthem at the ball field, and you were literally caught with your pants down. You were taking going to the bathroom when they called your name. So you're like, I'm like, babe, you're up. And you ran out there and sang When Did, and you didn't get it. And that was your thing. Singing is your thing.
Yeah.
And you didn't get it. And that was like, that affected you that day. You
Yeah.
were, you were shaking mad because you're like, I've done this so many times. And it's like, I do this second nature. And, but you still went out to Seattle and sang at London Bridge Studio with Jeff Ott and covered some huge songs
Yeah.
and did them your way. And we did our own song. You weren't too scared and timid to not try that again because of the failure. Like you you're able to dig deep and keep going. And
Right.
that's huge, huge.
Shameless plug. There is an episode about both of those topics. If you dig deep in the Cameo Show archives, one about the national anthem fiasco and also one about our experience recording in Seattle, since you touched on both of those topics. But I also want to kind of segue into a situation that you've come across just
Yeah.
recently, like within hours. A
This is
situation.
real time. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
we're being very real time. Like I said, we're feeling froggy today, and we're just going there. But for those of you who don't know, Greg is actually in his studio. If you're watching the video, he records and creates a ton of music and produces it and plays all of the instruments himself, and has released several songs on Spotify and has played in many bands in the past. That's kind of the background. But where I'm going with this is that he has a new song that he's really proud of that he wrote in a matter of days, which is brilliant. Basically, all of the instrumentation is solid, and he has all of the lyrics and the melodies and the chorus all ready to go, the demo done. And we went in to record the keeper vocal tracks just last night. And it didn't go awesome. It wasn't a situation where I went in with him and kind of as the vocalist of the family was coaching him, and he was just nailing it. It just wasn't really happening. And Greg, you talk about that because it's your experience, just as the TEDx thing was mine, and how you feel and what it means to you and how you're processing.
So for me, music is part of like my fibers, it's just part of who I am. And so just like you're very athletic and you can just do anything athletic that you want to do, for me, I feel like musically I can pick up any instrument and make it make some noise, for the most part. And I'm not scared to try. And I'm quite honestly, as I sit here in my studio space, which I'm very grateful that I have, I don't have technical training. I've just learned from about 5 or 6 people on YouTube that have showed me, how to use Logic Pro and what gear to buy. I got a buddy, Robbie at Sweetwater, that tells me what mics to get and what gear to buy. So I mean, this is all just kind of build it as you go, building the plane as you're flying it, kind of thing, And
DIY.
I just enjoy coming in here into this space and just creating a vibe. And I never have a plan. It's always just like start off playing some Metallica riff. And the next thing I know, a couple hours later, it's some Bon Jovi ballad or it's some Magic City Hippies kind of vibey thing, island vibe. It's all over the place, which I absolutely love. But this song that you're talking about, I just kind of put together and it's like really, really solid. It's got a good hook. It's got a good chorus. And Benny even liked it, and Benny's playing trumpet on it and stuff. I mean, it's really, really a cool song. And I always struggle with singing. Here's me being vulnerable. Here's my vulnerable moment. So
You're safe here. You can share. It inspires others to be able to feel free to do so themselves.
I am very confident when it comes to playing drums. I'm okay with guitar and bass. Like I can fiddle around with it, but like when it comes to drums, just I'll go to town. But when it comes to singing, I just don't know how to make all this work. I don't know how to use this as an instrument properly. And it just so happens that my wife is classically, trained competitive vocalist, used to compete at choir events. So it was like such a huge moment for me a couple years ago when I really got into making music. Oh my gosh, I've got someone in my house that can help me do better with my vocals. So the songs that I have put out so far, we've spent a lot of time on the vocals just to get them to be like B minus, C plus. I don't know if they're even that. So it's embarrassing for me to be like, I suck at this part of music because I love music. It's part of me. I wish I could just be Dave Grohl and just let it rip. It just doesn't work for me. So yesterday, working on this song after a few hours, is having the realization of why in the hell am I trying to sing these when I know I know a couple other people that are amazing singers. Like I could just have them sing on it. And why am I trying to do it all myself? Why can't I just collaborate more with that element? And it's very hard for me, my ego, my pride, because I want to be able to do this. I want to make it happen, but realizing that no matter what I do, it's not going to be awesome. I want to make music that people feel, not just hear, but like I feel that, and that's my goal. So just the awareness of that, I don't think that's going to happen with me on the mic. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Well, and I think we're our own biggest, most harsh critic too, because I think you're being a little bit unfair to yourself. You can sing. You are not like screeching nails down a blackboard torture when you listen to your vocals. They're good. It's just that you don't want to be good. You don't want to be okay. You want to be excellent. And so it's a moment of reflection of like, I can do this. You kind of have a choice. Change your expectation of what you think maybe the outcome is going to be with your vocals, which are good, or collaborate more or invite someone else in to sing that might give you an opportunity for it to be excellent.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a huge life lesson in general, not just as it pertains to your music, but there is always likely going to be someone who can do something easier or more fluidly or better than you can. And so being open to the idea of hiring someone or collaborating with someone is a really big lesson in next leveling yourself. That doesn't make it not hurt, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, you were not in a real great mood last night and this morning, like you were sad and deflated. And that, as
Yeah.
your wife, sucks for me to see and experience, because I know you're being really mean to yourself and an extra layer of criticism about it, but also kind of this like acceptance of, I don't know, kind of shedding skin almost. Like I have to kind of shed this idea, that grieving process that we talk about. I have to let go of this idea of what I think something could be just because I want it to be so badly, and
Yeah.
accept that maybe there is something else or another approach that I need to take to it.
Yeah. My positive spin on the situation is just that this is a corner that's being turned. I have a new freedom now, a new vision and idea about this that's okay. Because honestly, it's no fun for me to stand in my space, try to nail this one word, and you be like, that's not right. That's not right. And I don't even hear what you're saying. You're like, say it with this, but a little bit more of the and the this and that. And I'm like, you might as well be going. I'm like,
I
I don't
sound
know
like
what.
R2D2.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what exactly you want me to do. And you said it yourself. You're like, you can go from saying one line, you can sing it one time like a boy band, then the next time through you sing it like you're Willie Nelson, then the next time through you sing it like
Bret Michaels.
Bret Michaels. And it's like I'm on purpose trying to sound, but I don't know what my own voice is,
Yeah.
because I don't ever practice singing. I don't even sing in the car ever. I don't sing. That's just never been my thing. I just have this blind confidence about music that I'm just going to come in here and make it happen, hit record. The reality is it takes a lot of work to be a great singer, and
Sure.
I haven't put in the work.
Well, and I think that's such a great thing to talk about, because much like I said about the TEDx, the only way I could go wrong is just to throw in the towel. But I think that, and maybe you're just still kind of in this process yet, and maybe it's still a little soon because literally it's been hours, but like, I think you just have to like really go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I have choices here. I don't have to like never sing again. I don't have to give up. Sometimes my voice might fit the vibe of the song and it may serve the song very well. And other times, like this song where I want it to so badly, my voice doesn't serve the song and somebody else might do better. Or I'm going to really practice. Like, I really want to be able to sing on my songs. I'm going to give it the time and the effort and the respect that it deserves to become a great vocalist. It doesn't have to be, I'm never singing again because it sucks, even though that might be how you feel right now. And usually is how people feel immediately after being rejected or being shut down or feeling that sense of failure. I'm never doing that again. Just give it a
Yeah.
little bit of time and you probably will figure out, like, I do want to do that again, and I'm going to figure out how to do it better next time. You know,
Yeah.
it's just keep shooting the shots, pivot, shoot the shot, pivot, shoot the shot, learn something new, shoot a new shot, shoot from a different angle, whatever. I didn't play basketball. I don't know why I keep using that reference, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't ever have to be a finite thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the end of the road for me as a speaker or for you as a singer. It's just a realization of like, I've got work to do. There's
Yeah.
work to do. There's things to develop.
Well, that's the thing that I'm personally addicted to is I want to get better. I want to achieve great things. I want to push, 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 push. And I don't want to have a bunch of yes men around me telling me that, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. And then the products that I produce are not, you
Sure.
know? So it's like, I appreciate the openness that you feel with me as my wife and collaborator musically to be able to like, listen, maybe we should do something different, and not being scared to say that to me, that I'm not so completely, you know, engulfed in my own situation that I'm not open to hearing it, but my gut knows, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I've been doing this for a couple years, and it's like it's not, I don't ever practice the singing part. So that should be a sign right there that I go practice the drums and I practice the guitar, but I don't ever practice the singing part. I
Mm.
do the singing because it's like the last thing and has to be done, and I never get an A+ with it. It's always like, okay, God, I
And
hope we can fix that.
what else is so interesting about what you're saying is that like even when you listen to the music differently than
Yeah, that's
I
right.
do, or than
That,
most people maybe do. I listen to music, I listen to the vocals, I listen to the words. The performance of the singer is what sucks me in. I'm not paying attention to the bass line. And you'll be like, did you hear that bass line? And you'll like know the bass line intimately. And I'm like, I've never even been able to hear it buried in the mix, but thank you
yeah,
for bringing it to my attention because now I can. But
yeah,
like, even the way you listen to music is not like a typical vocalist or a singer. You're a musician that hears things differently. You're a drummer. You hold down the song. And so you listen on a deeper level. And so it's just accepting that it's not good, bad, ugly, horrible, wretched. It's just who you are. It's just part
yeah,
of your fiber. And that's not a negative thing.
yeah.
And I'm so proud of you for talking about it. And it's not a fun like spot to be in on the other side of that as your wife, because I love you and I support you and I think you're amazing and great in everything that you do. But I also know that you want excellence, so I like have to play both roles, and that can be very, and you do too, and that can be very like slippery and delicate. And so there's that. I'm proud of you for talking about it, and even as you're processing through it.
Success has 100 mothers, and failure is an orphan.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that before. That's good.
And it's so true. Like when something's successful, you see it all the time in the music business, or when a band blows up, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
they were my band. But, in business, you just, that failed. I don't want to talk about it. But it's like the reality of the situation is you can learn a lot from your failures. And it is addicting to fail because you know that you're closer to a win.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't really understand that until I had done it enough and surrounded myself with enough influence to kind of reiterate that
Yeah.
principle that failing is necessary and it's actually a really great thing.
Yeah.
I, for so long, and my perfectionistic tendencies and the history of just doing things right and doing them, getting lucky or getting them right out of the gate, I never really had to experience it too much. And then when I would fail, it didn't feel great and I wasn't great at processing it. But being in positions where I'm kind of setting myself up to try something that's so big, I probably will fail. It's more likely that I will, has been a major growth opportunity for me personally, and the influence that I've surrounded myself with through books and social media and what's coming into my brain reiterating that has been really important.
Yeah. If you're scared to fail, then that really means you're scared to try stuff.
Right. I think
And
I've shared this before, and I don't know where I heard it, but like changing the word failure to attempts can be a really powerful use of language. Because if instead of saying, like, I submitted for this TED talk and I didn't get it, it was a fail, I failed. It was actually, I just attempted. And now I'm going to have to attempt again if I want to continue to pursue that. It doesn't necessarily have to even be defined as failure or success. We like to have labels, we like to have, be able to define things, but it doesn't have to. It's simply by changing that one word from failure to attempt can really change your whole perception of what you're trying to accomplish as well.
one of the things I really enjoy seeing is when my friends try stuff, when my people that I know are shooting their shots, whether it be with business or with something with art or, a side hustle or a project. I enjoy seeing people take the risks and try, because what happens is they take the risk, they try, but they are stronger for it afterwards. They learn something valuable from it. And and you can just tell it in the way that they go on and keep going, and I enjoy seeing that when people start with something maybe small and then maybe it doesn't work, but then they come back at it and it works. And then maybe it works even bigger. And it's like, that's exciting. Good for
Mhm.
you. It's rare to see it just automatically just work on the first time.
But behind the scenes, you see that when there are people close to you or someone who's willing to share that with you, but you don't see it on a regular basis. You always see the end result as being when it's great. Okay, it's time to share. It's great. So,
Yeah.
It's okay to share when it's not so great. It's okay
Yeah.
for
Because,
things to not go well the first time and to get back up and keep trying.
yeah, because you're going to continue your journey pursuing public speaking and releasing a book, and I'm going to continue making music. It's just they're going to be bangers now because I'm going to have kick-ass vocalists on them and not me fumbling through. So
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the other thing that I think is really important to note is that I just really enjoy the process of writing and creating. And like I said, I'm kind of a potential junkie. Like I just love this spot of building and trying. And I didn't always, and I've come to love that. And like, so the finish line keeps moving, and maybe I'll never actually have success in some of those areas. And the truth is, ideally, it'd be awesome that I do, and I'm going to continue to keep trying, but like I'm just enjoying trying, and you love making music and creating. And so it would be awesome if a song or songs blow up or you're on the Grammys or whatever these big goals are. That's what keeps us moving as humans, to attach to something that's big and
yeah,
scary and amazing. But like if that never happens, you're living every day loving what you're doing.
yeah,
And that's also something that has been learned and that's so important. That's why it was such a blow to my ego before when things didn't go my way. I wasn't necessarily doing it because I loved it or loving the process. I was really focused on the end result.
you wanted
And
that carrot so badly. You
and
wanted the
then yeah, and when the
yeah,
end result didn't go my way, all of the progress and process meant nothing.
yeah,
And that was all in my mind. Like that was all a complete mindset malfunction. Like I got to fix that first.
yep,
So I
yep,
wouldn't be able to sit here and openly share that I like didn't get something I really cared about with whoever feels like listening to it, wherever they're listening to it from, if I hadn't flipped my mindset to just kind of like be more fluid in that way.
yep,
I'm so glad we're having this conversation in an open forum to put out for the world to hear, because as a listener, the whole point is people fail, even if it looks like they don't. Because most people are only talking about when they're done with something and it's gone well. No one's talking about the work that's going into it, the iterations that they've been through, the failures, the embarrassment. No one's talking about that because it's no fun to talk about. And you don't have to, but we are on purpose. And I think it's really important. And
yeah.
I'm not like trying to run down the street. I guess I kind of am on a podcast platform. I'm not trying to run down the street like waving a flag, like I failed, look at me. I'm just saying it's part of life and we can pretend it doesn't exist, but the reality is it does. It's not, life is not always the highlight reel that
Yeah.
we want everybody to think it is. It just isn't.